one of the things that I see that trips people up is that damn ingredient label. Is there anything on the ingredient label that we should know about, that we could navigate? Is there anything helpful for us there?
I mean, honestly, there in terms of the calorie, the nutritional facts panel, I just feel like you should just ignore.
Yeah, agree.
I mean, it should be like it should be the second thing that you focus on. You should definitely ignore the front of the package, which is all the marketing, right? And then you should just go read the ingredients. And if the first ingredient is sugar and the second ingredient is rich flour, those are two items that you should avoid. Those are two ingredients that are on the terrible 10, right? And then if it has natural flavor, just avoid it too. And you'll see yourself. I mean, if you just go in your pantry right now, for everyone listening, and you go look and see how much natural flavor is in there, you're going to blow your mind.
Ooh.
The average American, I mean, I'm telling you, it's going to blow your mind, and you're going to be like, what have I been doing to my taste buds, right?
Yes.
And so when you look at an ingredient label, I believe like the number one question you ask yourself every time you sit down to eat are, what are the ingredients? You need to know what ingredients you're eating. If you don't know, you need to go find out. And if they won't tell you, if you're at a restaurant or somewhere else and they won't tell you, then that's a red flag. So if you are sitting down and you're trying to figure out what you're eating and you're eating a sandwich and you see the words monodiglycerides on the package of bread that you're eating, you need to know why you're eating that. Like, what is that substance? Okay.
Yes.
Well, if you Google it, you'll find out it's an emulsifier and preservative that they put in bread. They started putting it in bread once trans fats was banned. It has minute amounts of trans fats actually still in it. And so it's something that you don't want to be putting in your body. So next time you sit down and have a sandwich, you'll think, oh, well, I need to buy a bread without monodiglycerides because this is an ingredient. I don't know why it's in there. It's just to serve the food industry and not my body. It's not a nutritional ingredient. And it's something that I shouldn't be eating. And so once you start to ask yourself, what are the ingredients I'm eating? Then you can say the next question, which is, are these ingredients nutritious? And you don't need to be a rocket scientist, nutritionist, or doctor to understand if the ingredients are nutritious or not. You can use your common sense.
Yes.
And then you find out, where are those ingredients coming from? Are they made in a factory laboratory, in a chemical factory, right? Are they things made from a factory farm in terms of meat? And so you start to ask yourself these questions. And if you just ask yourself those three questions every single time you sit down to eat, you will start to make better choices because you'll stun yourself at the crap that you're eating.
Yeah. And a really good hack for those people that have kids, have them go Google it. I did that one time. My nephew asked me about some frozen waffles he had bought at Trader Joe's. And he was like, or I think my parents actually bought them. And he was like, are these healthy? And I said, read the ingredient labels to me. And he couldn't pronounce them. He was like 13 at the time. And I said, go Google it and tell me what those were. So off he went. Like 45 minutes later, he came back and he's like, some of these cause cancer. How can they put that in our food? Like after that, it was like, I didn't have to teach him anything. He taught himself. So I think it's really important.
That is such an important lesson, Mindy. And I just want to stop you there because oh my gosh, that right there is what we need to be doing as parents. I believe we have the greatest responsibility more than any other generation to teach our kids the truth about what's happened to our food. And that starts with learning ingredients. And if we teach them that, they automatically will become healthier eaters and be aware, and they'll teach their friends. And it will be such an amazing thing to see. And they can start a whole new revolution of better for you companies because they'll start to reject the legacy companies of the past and start to vote with their dollars. And it will be just this amazing thing that I see happening. And I see it with my own daughter, with her standing out in school and talking about how she doesn't eat artificial food dyes. And she's 6.5, and it's like she's educating those around her. And I've taught her in such a way that we don't shame anybody for their food choices, but we teach them the truth about what's actually in our food so that they learn about these ingredients. My parents didn't have this information. And it's probably why your parents think Trader Joe's is great, because my mom thinks that everything's organic at Trader Joe's. It's hilarious. Yeah. She goes, oh, it's organic. I got it from Trader Joe's. I'm like, well, Mom, not exactly, right?
No. Trader Joe's gives the illusion.
The
illusion it's healthy.
It's not that easy, right? You got to be a little bit more investigative there, Mom. But, they didn't have this information at their fingertips like we do about what's been done to the industrial food supply. And we have this information available. There's resources. I mean, I've written 4 books now on this topic that you can take and become an expert at this. And then you can just, share that knowledge with your children and your family, and then they're going to have a healthier life. You're going to save their life, I believe.
Yeah. And one of the things I used to tell my kids, if people who have, once they get to those teenage years, even the middle school years, they start pushing back on you a little bit. And I used to get questions. One day my daughter said to me, why do we always eat organic? Like when I go over to my friend's house, they don't always eat organic. And my response was a loving response of like, I've just done a lot of research. And I know what's going to help build you a healthy body and what's going to actually be toxic for your body. And not every family's done that, perhaps. So maybe you could just share it with them. When you learn something, share it with them. But I didn't make her feel bad. I made her feel empowered. Like I've just taken an extra step and I really am conscious about what we're eating as a family. I found that to be really helpful. The second thing that is a great trick that works so well for even adults is I made a rule that no toxic ingredient came into our house. So if they went to a birthday party, if they went out with friends as they became teenagers and they wanted to eat crappy food, do it. Just our house was a food sanctuary and we would not bring bad food in there. And that worked really well too.
I love it. I love it. And that's one of the things that parents forget, that they're in control.